Hi, this is Dave, and welcome to the weekly market recap closing out the week for Friday, March the 14th, 2014. So the big news this week is the markets had a pretty decent sell-off. And if we take a look at the market here, what we can see is the market is starting to look, starting with the Dow Futures rather. Let me just be more specific. It's starting to look like a potential double top here. Right here, and you can see we did have this momentum divergence insofar as the MACD when we came up and retested this high. So we did have a momentum divergence off of there. And the big question is now, even though we're heading into a period of seasonal, historical seasonal strength, the question is this it for the market, or is this just a normal pullback and a pause to refresh so that we can, reset and go higher? What I'm really going to be looking for here is I'm going to be looking to see the stochastics once momentum bottoms and see if we get a momentum shift off of a decent support level. So we're coming into 15,900 and we've got some decent strong support levels below 15,695, this level here, and around 15,600. So let me draw some fibs on the chart and see if any of those line up and we get any confluence in and around those areas. So we've got, you can see the fibs line up, the 618 lines up really nicely with this strong support level. So I'm going to be looking at this area around 15,679. You can see where the 618 lines up with this horizontal line that we've had marked on the chart for quite a while. I'm going to be looking for the momentum shift, support level, and then looking to see if we can get a buy signal off there and get a bounce back up to the high side. But ultimately, we haven't really done anything unless and until we can break through these highs here, because we have this market structure in place here where we're either going to go sideways or, we're going to sell off. Now, if we break this low around 15,200, that would really put me on the bearish side of the market. That would really confirm a double top pattern, and then I'd be looking for basically this range to the downside if we do get a break of that level. So we're in a pretty interesting spot in the market right now, and it's hard to tell which way we'll go. I still haven't given up on the long side though. So let's go take a look at the S&P futures. So the S&P futures look a little bit stronger than the Dow. I'm looking for the same sort of analysis. You've got a trend line down here. We did actually put in a higher high here in the S&P. If you look here, we've got, you've got this high, you've got a higher high. A pullback down to this trend line would just denote a normal pullback. So let's see where the fibs off of this last move would take us. Here's the low. Here's the high. It would take us right into that trend line. Okay, the 618 would take us right into this trend line. So that's sort of the area I'm going to be looking at there for the S&P. You might hear my daughter in the background. She's hanging out with me at the office today. So let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Yeah, the NASDAQ's the same story as the S&P. Just looking for a move into that trend line and then looking to see if we're going to hold or not. Let's take a look at the Russell futures. Yeah, I think that, the Russell futures, I don't think there's really any difference in the analysis there. Let's take a look at the transports from a Dow theory perspective. The transports are looking a little bit stronger than the Dow, but, very much the same story as the Dow. You've got this minor trend line in play right here. And, the same, this is basically, it's kind of moving in lockstep with the Dow, but it's a little bit stronger. Let's jump over to some other markets here. Let's look at the gold futures. Gold futures were really strong. We weren't all that interested in them last week, but we did think they were probably going to go higher into 1360, and ultimately, potentially, if we can get above that, into around. You may have heard the romper room kind of music in the background there. My daughter's really into Pocoyo, so when she comes into the office, she watches it on the. I've got a big screen TV there for looking at charts and sharing screens in the office here, and It's attached to the wall, and she likes to watch the show on there. So the sound just came through here. Okay, let's get back to business here. So basically, the gold futures, the trending indicator went positive. I wasn't all that interested in it, even though I felt it probably was, it had the potential to go higher. But this market's just been sort of, I think we talked about this the other week, where it's just sort of it pushes higher, and then it just does this, and then you get a thrust, and then it just does this, and then you get a thrust. So that was sort of what I was expecting again, but I'm just not all that interested in, holding on through a week or two of, this sideways action for the thrust. Okay, so that being said, I think, 1400 looks like it's possibly doable. And I don't really, I'm not going to get into much more analysis than that. I think that's really the next level that makes sense. Silver looks a little bit weaker than gold. It's not all that interesting, although you are getting a momentum shift here. And you've got this minor downtrend line going here that, you're just sort of breaking above. That could be a decent buy, looking for a retest of maybe some of these higher levels around 23 or thereabouts. So, but, honestly, it's not all that interesting to me. Let's look at crude oil. Crude oil is actually kind of surprising. Now, it's coming into an area where we're getting into an area of support here, and and momentum is potentially bottoming here. So the question is, was this a decent pullback to get long? I'm surprised. I was looking for it to hold 101.32, and it came through there pretty hard all the way down to like 97.50. So pretty crazy market. I think I really need to just sit back and see what's going on with this. I'm looking at this as a potential area of support. It didn't hold this area here that I was hoping for, or that I was expecting. This is a potential area of support, looking to see if we're going to do one of these and come back up above 101.32 or not. We could just go sideways here in this market. It's really hard to tell. These markets have been I've been a little bit out of sync with these markets insofar as these moves, because there's just from my perspective, there's just not a lot going on in the market that's keeping me, interested. So I'm looking at the markets and I'm looking for potential trading opportunities, but I'm just really not all that interested in that much, until the trending action better returns to the market, for lack of a better description. So I'm watching this because I'm essentially a trend trader. So I'm watching my trending indicator here to see if it's going to hold and roll back up, or if it's going to roll down to the, to the negative side here. Let's see. Let's take a look at natural gas. I got to be honest with you here, guys. The markets are not all that interesting right now. We've had a lot of consolidation, a lot of sideways action, just not a lot of anything, in my opinion. The intraday market energy just doesn't seem to be there, although we did get some nice downside movement. So natural gas, it's right back at the lower end of the support zone at 444, closed around 442 half. Momentum starting to bottom. This is starting to look negative. I don't really have a lot on this. We did break this trend line, but I'd like to see, in order for this to confirm that it's basically going to give up the ghost here, I'd like to see a bounce, a failure to put in a higher high, and then it to come back through this low. That would put me on the negative side of the natural gas. But as long as we're still sort of holding on to some of these support levels here, I'm not really all that bearish yet. Now with natural gas, you can get one bar like that, and that can happen in one day. So you just got to kind of keep your eye on that. Let's take a look at some key currencies. Let's take a look at the euro. So the euro is not really doing all that much, but it is holding above this key 138.20 level. It went as high as, let me just mark this level here. So we're looking at the euro futures. It went as high as 139.63. I think this is if we can stay above 138.20, I think this is possibly a game changer here. This looks like a nice little cup pattern right here. This is possibly a game changer in the currencies. We didn't really get much of a handle, but now you're starting to get this. So I'm looking to see if we're going to consolidate and then push higher. This is a bit of a game changer for the currencies, as I've said a few times here. Let's take a look at the dollar index. The dollar index I keep calling this level 78.20. It's 79.20. Okay, so just for the record, it's 79.20. We're still above 79.20 support in and around this area here. So until we let go of that, everything that's happening in the euro, until and if we let go of this support zone down here, the euro could go a little bit higher. It's not really gonna, it's not going to be a real inflection point until we break this support zone in the dollar index. Okay, so even though it's significant that $38.20 that we're holding above, we still really, in order to get anything going, need to break that area there in the dollar index. Let's take a look at the USD-CAD. USD-CAD is just sideways. It's it's looking decent, but it's still sideways. Let's take a look at the yen. We haven't looked at the yen in a while. So the yen here is starting to look a lot more bullish than it is bearish. And if you look at, you've got this sort of triangle. You had a false breakout here, but then you held support, and now you're breaking back up above it. This could be a potential game changer. If the yen starts trending higher, that could be a potential game changer. We need to keep an eye on that. And let's take a look at the British pound. Oops, I'm not even sure what BO. Oh, okay. So apparently at BO is soybean oil. Okay, we don't want to look at that. I'm not really familiar with this market. Let's take a look at the British pound, though. The British pound, you can see, has been in a decent little uptrend for quite a while here, but it looks like it might be running out of steam. You'd really need to do, this sort of thing. You failed to put in a higher high here, but this could be a potential, a minor kind of bull flag. That's how I look at these. And you want to see if you're going to actually get back above there and break that high. So this looks interesting. I mean, you've got momentum coming down to the, the oversold area. So, a breakout of that flag area could, mean possible continuation in the British pound. Let's just take a look at a couple other markets, and I'm going to wrap up this video. You've got the 30-year. It's looking to re-challenge its highs here. See if we can get a break above there. Let's take a look at the 10-year. 10-year, same thing. Let's take a look at the TNX.X on my platform is the 10-year yield. So you can see the yield on the 10-year, the interest rate is actually coming back down. A lot of people are talking about higher interest rates. I was expecting higher interest rates, but really the inflection point here, in my opinion, is still 3% in the 10-year. It's this, if we break above this level, I will surely let you know in the first video that I can. Okay. I think we've covered all the major markets. I just have a couple of announcements. I wanted to announce. Let me just go over to the CSTA website here. I'm just going to pull this up, and let me make this smaller so that everybody can see it. Okay, so if you look at the CSTA website, we did a webcast last week, which was pretty good. Now, I just wanted to point this out to those in the Toronto area or those who can make it into Toronto. David Cox is going to be speaking at the Toronto CSTA on the 25th of March. Okay, coming up in a week or so, just over a week, and that is going to be from 4:30 to 6 p.m. David is a fantastic speaker. We've had him at the CSTA Oakville chapter twice. I guess it would be twice now, and he drops in at our meetings from time to time to network with some of the members. And just wanted to also let you know that David will be running a intensive full-day seminar or course or workshop, however you want to term it, at our live trading facility at the end of April. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a really, really interesting, good event. It will be a paid event, but it'll be well worth the money spent. So I'll keep you informed of that. Good trading, good investing, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next update or at an upcoming meeting. All the best.